right, let's talk materials for this guy. We will need a 3.5 millimeter hook. We will need stitch marker. We will need scissors. We will need yarn. We're gonna need some worsted yarn in the tan color. We're gonna need worsted yarn in this orange color. And we're also gonna need some black floss, some crafting floss. And that's gonna help us with the scars. We will need, let's see, some polyfill. That's kind of important. We need the polyfill. We will also need, and this is new to this project, we are going to need some eyes that are buttons. These buttons I've had for a little bit, so I mean, I don't really know the size, but kind of gauge what you feel is the proper size. And let me, yeah, kind of gauge what you feel is the proper size. Maybe I'll put it in the description exactly the size that I used, but literally these are buttons that I just had on hand. I'm thinking they're about an inch, give or take. And I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's start with the head of our guy. So we're going to start with a magic circle. In our magic circle, we are putting 6 single crochets, and this is with our brown yarn. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go ahead and close our hole. Place our stitch marker. Row number 2 is going to be an increase all the way around, so we should end up with 12 stitches. An increase is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, so go ahead and do that all the way around. Row number 3 is going to be 1 single crochet and then an increase, so 1 single crochet and then an increase, 1 single crochet and then an increase all the way around. Row number 4 is going to be 2 single crochets and then an increase, so 1, 2, and then an increase. 1, 2, and then an increase all the way around. Row 5, 3 single crochets and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, and then an increase all the way around. Row 6, 4 single crochets and an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase all the way around. Alright, row 7 is going to be our final round of increases, and that's going to be 5 single crochets and then an increase. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then an increase. And you're going to do that all the way around. Alright, rows 8 through 12, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and do my rows. Go ahead and do yours. And come and meet me back here for next steps. Alright, so for this is what my row number 12, after 12 rows looks like. So for row number 13, we're going to do 5 single crochets and then a decrease. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a decrease. You're doing that all the way around. Alright, row number 14 is going to be 4 single crochets and then a decrease. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then decrease. And you're going to do that all the way around. Row 15 is going to be 3 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. And you're going to do that all the way around. Row 16 is going to be 2 single crochets and then a decrease. That's 1, 2, and then a decrease. 1, 2, and then a decrease all the way around. And row 17, our final row, is going to be 1 single crochet and then a decrease. 1 single crochet and then a decrease, and you should end up with 12 stitches when you're done with this row. So go ahead and do that all the way around, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, once you're done, we're gonna look something like that. I'm gonna cut my yarn, leave a long tail for sewing. I'm gonna fasten off, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stuff this guy, and I'll meet you back here to show you what that looks like. All right, so this is what we're looking like all stuffed. We are not gonna close this hole because we're gonna use these 12 stitches here to attach to our body. So what we're gonna do is set this thing aside, and we are gonna start on the collar of our Sam. And so the collar is there to make it seem like he has a sack over his head. So what we're gonna do is start by making a chain of 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we're gonna take this stitch that we just did, this loop that we just made, I should say, and we're gonna attach it to that first stitch with a slip stitch, just like that. We're gonna chain 1, place our stitch marker, and for row number 2, we're gonna do an increase all the way around. And so what that looks like is in every single loop, we're gonna do an increase. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2 in every single loop. So go ahead and do that and meet me back when you get back to your stitch marker. Okay, so for our next row, that was row number 2. For our next row, row number 3, we're going to take our stitch marker out. We're going to join our last stitch to our first stitch with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then for row number 3, we're going to do another round of increases. So in every single stitch, we're going to do an increase, and this is going to make our work wave, and that's exactly what we want. So go ahead and do 2 single crochets in each stitch, and meet me back here when you get back to your stitch marker. Okay, this is what we're looking like after row number 3. Again, take our stitch marker out, connect our first stitch to our last stitch with a slip stitch, chain 1, and for rows 4 and 5, we are going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. And the reason behind that is, if we were to put this collar onto our Sam right now, it will look more like a clown, and we want it to look more like the edge of a sack. So adding in the 2 rows of single crochets is going to loosen up this curl just a little bit to give the illusion of that sack. So go ahead and do rows 4 and 5, and then I will meet you back here when I am done with mine. Alright, so this is what I'm looking like after my row number 4. What I'm going to do now is just cut, leave a tail for sewing, and fasten off. And so when we put it onto our head, it's still going to curl, but it's just not going to be as dramatic of a curl. So like when we put it on our body, it's going to look more like a sack. Alright, so let's put those 2 aside. And what we're going to work on now is, let's do the body of our Sam. So to do the body, we're going to do it in 2 different pieces. We're going to do leg number 1, leg number 2, join them, and then work the body. So for leg number 1, what we're going to do is a magic circle, and we're going to put 6 single crochets inside of that magic circle. So that's our magic circle, and 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to place our stitch marker. Row number 2 is going to be an increase all the way around, which is going to give us 12 stitches. This is 1, 2 in that same stitch, 1, 2 in that same stitch all the way around. Rows 3 through 6 is going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch, and you should have 12 stitches. So go ahead and do your rows 3 through 6. I'm going to do mine, and I'll meet you back here once I'm done. Alright, so after 6 rows, this is what my leg number 1 looks like. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. I'm going to cut my yarn, leaving a fairly long tail, and fasten off. We're going to set this one aside. The leg number 2 is going to be exactly the same in terms of stitches 1 through 6, but for leg number 2, you are not going to fasten off after row number 6. Okay, so go ahead and do rows number 6, just the same as we did for leg number 1, and do not fasten off at the end of row number 6. So I'm going to do mine, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, so this is what 6 rows looks like on our leg number 2. So what we want to do now is take our stitch marker. We're going to put it into that last stitch we just made. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to pick up our leg number 1 and attach in the stitch after the fasten off. So this is where we fastened off. We're going to go into that next stitch and join these 2 legs together with a single crochet, just like that. And then we're going to crochet in the remaining 11 stitches. Okay, so I'll stay on camera to show you what that looks like. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this wonky little one right here with the fasten off counts as our 11th stitch. Okay, so just like that. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna chain another 3, 1, 2, 3. Make sure this tail is on the inside, and we're gonna do the same thing with the other leg. So this is where we didn't fasten off, but this is where our last stitch was. We're going to go into that next stitch, add a single crochet, and then go around in the remaining 11 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Alright, now we can move our stitch marker. So this is what you should look like at this point. And there will be a hole in the center, and that's okay. That's what we have this tail for. We're going to sew that hole in later. So now we're going to consider this next row, row number 1, because our legs are attached. And now we're going to start crocheting everything together. So for row number 1, we're going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch, and you should have 30. 12 for each leg, 3 stitches in the front and 3 stitches in the back from that chain. So 1 single crochet in each. So I'm going to put 3 on my chain. That's 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna go into this fasten off stitch. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you're gonna do it all the way around. Alright, now that we have our 30 stitches, Row number 2, we're going to do 4 single crochets and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then an increase. And you're going to do that all the way around. Alright, rows 3 through 5 is going to be 1 single crochet in each, and you should have 36 stitches. So go ahead and do your rows 3 through 5, and I will meet you back here once I'm done with mine. Alright, this is what I'm looking like after 5 rows. Row number 6 is going to be 4 single crochets and then a decrease. So that was 2, 3, 4, and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a decrease all the way around. Row 7, 1 single crochet in each, just like that, and you're going to do that all the way around. Row 8 is going to be 3 single crochets and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease. 1, 2, 3, and then a decrease all the way around. Row number 9 is going to be 1 single crochet in each. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. Row number 10 is going to be 2 single crochets and then a decrease. So it's 1, 2, and then a decrease. 1, 2, and then a decrease all the way around. Row 11, 1 single crochet in each, and you should end up with 18 stitches at this point. So we're dwindling right on down. So 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around. For our final row, row number 12, we're going to do 1 single crochet and then a decrease. 1 single crochet and then a decrease, and we're going to do that all the way around. Alright, so our body is all done. What I'm going to do is cut this guy, fasten off, make sure you leave a long tail for sewing. And you should have 12 single crochets up here at the top to match the 12 in the head and the 12 in the collar. So what I need to do to finish off the body is to stuff. Make sure you stuff in the legs, and then I'm going to close up this hole. When I close my hole, I'm going to take my yarn needle, use this tail that we had, and I'm gonna sew going front to back, not from side to side. We're gonna go front to back, and the reason behind that is if you sew from side to side, you're gonna close the legs like this. We want to close them this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that off camera. Go ahead and do yours, and then I'll meet you back here. Okay, so our body is all done, our head is all done, the collar for our Sam is all done. The last thing that we need to do are the arms. For the arms, it's pretty simple. I'm not going to show you necessarily how to do the arms, but I will definitely tell you. So for the arms, we're going to start with a magic circle and put 4 single crochets inside of that magic circle. Row number 2 is going to be a row of increases, so we're going to put 2 single crochets inside of each stitch to give us a total of 8 stitches. And then for row number 3, still using that brown yarn, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. That's going to give us 8 stitches as well. You're then going to switch to your orange yarn. For rows 4 through 7, it's going to be 1 single crochet in each stitch. That gives you 8 stitches, and that's it. That is it. So you need 2 of these. When you do those 2, go ahead and meet me back here so we can start assembling our Sam. Alright, so what I want to do now is do the face of our Sam, and we're going to start with our eyes. And so these are eyes that I had just kind of laying around. I bought them for another project, so they were just kind of perfect for this project. And I am getting a decent size. I don't even know how big these guys are. I'll measure them for you and put it in the measurements. But I'm just trying to get 2 matching eyes. And once I find 2 matching, there we go. 2 matching eyes, I can show you where to place them. So we are placing our eyes between rows 9 and 10, 8 stitches apart. Now this is a little bit different than what I usually do, but I'm gonna guide you through it. So between rows 9 and 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So somewhere in there, I'm just placing a stitch, a quilting pin just arbitrarily, so I know where between 9 and 10 is. Now I'm gonna take my button for the eye on our right. I'm just gonna put my quilting pin through that top part of the button and just match where that quilting pin is, just like that. And these buttons actually don't match. That hole is bigger. I'm gonna have to find another one, and that matters for me because my yarn needle won't fit through those holes. But so this one is placed, so our eye on the left has to be 8 stitches from this eye. And what I mean by from this eye, you want to put your button down a little bit and count 8 full stitches to the left. So we have placed this one kind of arbitrarily speaking, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about there. So I want my eye to be about there. Let's see if that's the same row, and it is. And I know that's a little bit confusing, but that's how we're gonna determine where our eyes go. And so there should be 8 full stitches between one edge of the button and the start of the next one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. Okay, what we want to do now is grab our yarn needle, and we want to grab some of our tan yarn. Go ahead and thread that needle, cut your yarn, and we're gonna sew these eyes in place. It can be a little bit tricky because it's a crochet project, but try as best you can to get it in there, and then meet me back here once you're done. I'm just doing 1 pass in each hole, and that should do it. It shouldn't take more than that in order for this to stay. And you can move your button around as you need in order to help kind of guide it in. And so you see I'm kind of moving my button as I see fit. I'm not pulling it all the way tight just yet, just tight enough to hold it in place, and then I'll pull it a little bit later. So go ahead and do this eyeball or button, and then do your other one, and then I'll meet you back here. Oh, so I just wanted to come back before I do my other eye to give you just a little bit of a tip that I found when doing this project. So usually I use the tail of my yarn and I just kind of, you know, do whatever I need to do without cutting it. When you're doing the button eyes, it's probably a good idea for you to cut the yarn and then start fresh. The reason I say that is because you can use both ends of your yarn to pull that button tight, because remember, we're moving the button around as we need it to help get into those holes. So when you're done, you can pull this tail and the tail that's attached to your needle to help hold that button in place. And maybe I should just show you. It might be a little bit easier if I show you. So let me go ahead and get this in. You see how I'm moving the button to get it over that yarn needle? I'm moving the button just to make it easier, because our yarn needle is not flexible like that, right? And so we can't really move the yarn needle around all that much, but we can move the button over. the yarn needle. See what I mean? You see how it's really loose right now? What I mean is you can pull the tail attached to your yarn needle, and you can also pull this tail to make your button a little bit more secure. And that's what I mean by you want to cut in between buttons to help it to be a little bit more secure. Alright, so let me go ahead and finish this up, and then I'll show you what the next part looks like. Alright, what we want to do next is go ahead and grab our tan yarn again. We're gonna cut a decent piece, and we are gonna go into the second to the last row with our yarn needle and come up through our magic circle. And we're gonna do this right in the center of the eyes, and this is gonna be that line, that scar in between his face. And so what we're gonna do is go directly in between the eyes, just like that, and we're gonna do 3 passes. So my needle is actually not long enough to go just straight out, so I gotta cut this into 2. So that was 1 pass. Kind of pull a little bit tight. I'm gonna fold over again, that's 2. And then I'm going to do it one more time. And that's going to help us to create that scar. And that's 3. Just like that. I'm trying to overlap them over each other. And so I'm just going to go into... I'm going to go into the stitch right next to it. Just like that. So then I'm just going to tie a knot. I'm gonna hide these ends right in the bottom. Just like that. Get my crochet hook and hide this other one. Just like that. And all this stuff hanging out, it's okay, we'll stuff it in later. And then I'm gonna adjust this just to make sure it's smack in the middle. And what I want to do now is get some floss, some craft floss, thread my needle, and we are gonna make the stitches going down the center of Sam's face. The stitches and the smile. So we want to start at the top. And the reason we want to do that is because we're going to use this same threaded floss for the smile. And so what I want to do is start at the top and then work my way down, and then use that same yarn or same floss for the smile as well. So what we're going to do first is we are going to put our, actually let's start down here because we're going to end up down here. Let's go into an arbitrary place at the bottom, pull it up to the top, and then we want to actually end up on either side of this scar. And these are going to be the sutures on his scar going down the center of his face. And so I'm just going back and forth across the scar. You don't want to make it look too symmetrical because, you know, sutures aren't really symmetrical, and we want to give him kind of like a scary look. So I'm just going back and forth on either side. And again, trying not to make it look too symmetrical. Symmetrical enough, but not too symmetrical all the way down. Alright, so we're all the way down here. And that's what mine is looking like so far. And so now what I want to do is actually fix my false here. Alright. Now what I want to do here is go to my left, and I'm going about, I don't know, 2 rows underneath the eye. And I'm just going to start creating that smile, that sutured smile. And to do this, I'm just arbitrarily making lines and X's. So the first one, I'm going to do a little line. I'll do a bigger line here. Then I'll do an X. Like this. And there really is no like pattern or anything. I'm just going for what looks nice, I think. Let me do another X. And I'll do a couple of lines. And I'm gonna try to match as much as possible what I did here to the other side. And again, if not, it's not the end of the world because stitches aren't symmetrical, right? So if they don't look exactly the same, that's actually gonna add to the aesthetics. My X started on this row. I am being careful though to place like my X's on the same row, my large lines on the same row, because although we don't want him to be too symmetrical, we don't want him to be looking crazy either. So let me just do that X, do another line, and I think we can go ahead and end this guy. I think he looks pretty good. Alright, knot this up, and we're gonna hide it through the bottom like the rest of our work. Just like that. Fold in that other one. And this is what our head is looking like so far. Alright. So now what we need to do is tuck all this nonsense into our head. So we're going to just stuff all this in there so that it's neat and we can attach our body. Okay, just kind of shape the head out a little bit. I don't want mine completely round, so you can see that I'm like giving him a little bit of a dome up here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to place the collar right side up onto my head, just like that. And I'm going to put my body underneath that. So you're sandwiching the collar between the body and the head, just like this. And then you're gonna sew the 3 of these together. Best practice is sew the head to the body and the collar. So attach the collar and the body with the head. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that. I'll actually do a couple passes to show you how I did mine, and then I'll leave you to your own devices. So to show you how I'm attaching the head to the collar and the body, I'm just pulling up a stitch in the head, just like that. And then I'm just going to pull up a stitch in the collar, and then make sure I'm pulling up the body as well, just like that. I'm pulling tight. So again, I'm pulling up in the head, like that. And then making sure to pull up in the collar and in the body, and then pull. And I'm just doing that all the way around, making sure to keep your head facing forward, because sometimes it does kind of turn. See that? Want to make sure you keep it forward. All right, this is what we're looking like so far. This tail, I went ahead and weaved in the ends of my the tails that I had for the head and the body. Now I'm just weaving in the tail for the collar. After I do that, we're going to attach the arms, and then we are done, y'all. So let me go ahead and cut this. Alright, so that's what our head is looking like. Oh, and we need to attach the string, but let's do the arms first. So the arms, I'm just going to take my quilting pins, put them into my arms, and then place them kind of right under the collar. Like right there is good for me. And I lost my other arm for a second. I'm going to do the same thing with this guy, just make sure it's symmetrical. I'm going about 1, 2, 3, about 3 or 4 rows down from the neck. I'm making sure they're symmetrical, and I'm going to sew these guys down, and I will meet you back. Alright, so this is what our guy is looking like. Super cute. I'm actually really pleased with it. So with all of my tutorials, I like to leave you with a little something that you can do differently to make the pattern your own. So for this guy, I did not add his patches, nor did I add his little lollipop or the sack. So if you really want to make this thing your own, if you want to sell it as like a package or as a gift for somebody, you can definitely add those pieces. You can add a keychain. You know, I stick a keychain on anything. You can just use the head. I thought this was a really cool idea. It's the same pattern, use the same instructions to insert the eyes, the scar, and the smile. You can attach a keychain like that too. So literally exactly the same. I hope this was cool. I hope this was fun. It's a little bit different. I don't usually make characters from movies and stuff like that, but I thought this was really cool. So hit that like button, go ahead and subscribe if you found this impactful. Crochet some cool stuff. Don't forget to meet me back next week so we can further explore this Halloween series we have going on. All right, until next week, y'all.